What's up, guys? This week we got our first Wednesday episode coming at you with a familiar face in Tyler Seller from Masshole Media. Masshole Media is the world's most cost-effective production company. They work with some of the biggest artists all around the world. Tyler and Dre are absolutely crushing it, and this was a really fun podcast to shoot. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on Sunday. We're back with a familiar face. This is our first repeat guest. We got Tyler coming through again, and the one and only Boston Flicks.
Hello.
How you guys doing today?
Doing all right.
Yeah, I'm chilling.
It's you're the first person that we've had on twice, so hopefully that's an honor, right?
It's massive honor.
But that UFC clip that we posted did pretty well.
Yeah,
It's
the UFC clip was crazy.
Still ripping.
That did better than the Travis one.
I don't know.
Which is weird. Yeah, that was weird.
We got a lot of hate on it because people were like, "These kids,
You're casuals, yeah.
These kids don't know sports.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You know, Bruins playoff games are the best ever."
You're
I'll
City winning a
stand by my
championship
word
is
on
like-
that one.
It was
though.
great.
Yeah,
Who was it? It was like College Daily or College Weekly or something that commented, and they were like shitting on us.
Oh, really?
But
I didn't see that one. That was on TikTok or
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Nah, Instagram
Shit.
real comments are ruthless.
Damn,
all the
that's
time.
crazy.
All the time.
So, and then a little bit background on yourself. I mean, Boston Flicks, where'd that name come from? And tell everybody what you do.
So I had like an interest in photography when I was, I want to say like 11. And then I never really had my own camera. So I get into high school and I surrounded myself around like a group of kids. And we would just like, we would like do stupid shit. we would like skip school. And we would go to like random parking lots or rooftops. We would just climb on top of them. And we only had one camera in rotation between like all 7 of us. And we would all model for each other and take pictures of like Boston. So from there, I kind of just like started doing that on my own a few times. And I started off doing like architectural photography of just like Boston with like all the rooftops I got onto. And from there, I kind of was just like, damn, I'm taking pictures of Boston. I don't want because my Instagram handle back then was Andres with the good hair, because I had my long hair was like all the way down to my stomach, and I was like, nah, like that's lame. Like I'm not gonna be a photographer, Andres with the good hair. So I switched over to Boston Flicks. I don't know how it wasn't taken at the time, but
When was that?
What
What year was that on Instagram?
I want to say like 2012.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's why it wasn't taken.
I wasn't even born
Holy
yet.
shit. I don't think I was on Instagram until like 2016 or something.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I jumped
Damn.
on in 13 or 14. But that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Oh no, sorry, no, not 2012. It was like 2013, 14.
Okay,
'cause
but
I was
still,
Still
that's
though, that's
way early.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Wow. And so since then, what does that, looked like? Just the progression from then 10 years later.
I guess, like in connection with like Masshole Media, like Tyler has all the bigger connects, and I have kind of just like all like the small creators within Boston. Like I'm close with a lot of them, so now I guess I'm kind of just like sometimes I'll be a middleman, other times I'll be somebody's photographer, but mainly like within Boston, I'm like a lot of people's guy.
Tyler, what's it been like watching Dre kind of grow? Because this podcast came to fruition, like last week, I think you put up on your story. I've been getting a ton of podcast requests. I'm not doing any until one brings on, Boston Flicks. And, we said, of course, that sounds great. But why did you want to get Dre on so bad?
I don't do anything without Dre, and like I call this guy like nonstop, like every single day, probably 5 hours a day while he's at work. And it's like I feel like I have my own work with like my bigger connects, but like Dre's also got some massive connects that like help middleman it, or he takes control of it. Actually, like a good example is at TJ's show last week. His team that like I'm close with didn't end up going because they had back-to-back shows. So Dre knew the opener who got called.
Yo, that's
40
actually
minutes.
a crazy story, yeah. Because he
So
was
Dre, so it was supposed to be Kyle Rich opening for Lil TJ, and they said, "Oh, we're not getting to the venue until 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock to perform." So I was like, "Shit! Well, we're here at 6. Like, we gotta find a way in." So we're sitting in the artist entrance and whatever, waiting, and they said, "Oh, like Kyle Rich canceled." So we're still sitting there, and another one of our photographers that Dre knows around Boston, his name's Showtime, and he came walking in. He was like, "Oh, Moses performed. We got a call 40 minutes ago while he was at his niece's birthday party to come and perform at MGM, his biggest crowd." So he walked in, and Dre just walked in with him. And I was like, can you get me in, Dre? Like, do you think you can work something out? Because usually I never really struggle like that. And Dre ended up getting me into the show and another couple people into the show. So, yeah, he went on for 10 minutes, performed. Fabio got on after. And then TJ got on, and we were backstage without any credentials because of Dre and his connects around Boston. So I feel like Masshole Media, since it's like a very Boston term, I feel Dre carries a lot of that weight in Boston. I'm kind of more like the Canadian side and like everywhere else kind of going on. But I'm not. Dre was my first connection in Boston when I started this. So I think that's important to say. So everything I got in Boston is from Dre.
When was that when you guys first connected?
I was working, I was working on a boat before I started doing this, and I had a A&R from Van Buren Records, and he said, "Oh, I have 2 photographers that like you should reach out to. One being Jesse Garner and the other one being Dre." And Jesse was in Tampa. We hooked him up with some stuff down there.
No, that's not how I met you. No, it was because you worked with Tyrell. And so there's this kid that I'm friends. Yeah. He's friends with my friend, and he DMs me one day, and because Tyler was working on the boats, so like this kid worked on the boats with Tyler.
Yeah, he used to narrate for like tourists, like and going to Salem and just like telling them what they were looking at to like make tips and like dog shit money and
But
yeah.
he DM'd me. He was like, "Yo, hit up Tyler. Like he has his media company." And at the time, he had like 200 followers, and I was like, "No fucking way! Like this guy has a serious media company." But I was like, you know what? Like, I'll DM him. And then from there, it's like been a wrap.
What does I feel like music industry as a whole is like so massive and there's so many different parts. What is the photographer and the creative's role in the music industry? I'd like to hear that from both of you too.
I'll go first. I think that the role as a photographer and like a videographer in the music industry, I feel like it starts off just kind of being behind the scenes and just like learning from others, because they're always going to have like their posse, their security, and their people that they're around all the time. So it's just kind of like learning how they move and being accustomed to being around the fame and like that superstar type of talent, and like kind of recognize the audience more or less. But it turned into like producing, and it turned into managing other creatives to be able to set them up with those artists. Getting security, getting DJs, putting them onto producers to do music. So I feel like you start behind the scenes, but as you move forward, it like turns into, you have this idea that you're going to be their photographer, but it turns up that you're doing 40 other roles. And being a photographer includes being basically just like a plug, I feel, for like whatever fashion, shoes, places to stay, like literally
even
anything.
Like rentals and stuff too.
Was that like a conscious effort that you were making, trying to be a plug for them, or were you just trying to, No,
I was trying to grip onto one artist, and hopefully they succeeded, and I'd be with them there the whole way. And then they were like, "Oh, we're going here," and it would be like, "Am I coming with you? Because like you're saying I should go out there, but you're not paying me." And they're like, "Well, you just started, so how are you gonna make this work in LA and this work in Atlanta and this work in China?" And it's like, shit, you're right. Like I did just start. I'm not the greatest photographer of all time, and I'm still progressing and all that. So it turns into me figuring out who can fulfill that job, so it stays within the family in a way. And that's kind of where like the media company's gone as a shift, from like me being greedy to like do work with one artist, and then it's turned to me meeting people like Dre and like Michael Gilbert and all these other guys that we have mutual relationships with.
And you end up having more success that way by distributing.
Yeah, I feel like in anything you do, like you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
But yeah, I don't know, Dre. Like I feel like you're more in the fashion, pop culture stuff. So, you have
so I didn't start off in the music industry. I started doing like a lot of freelance work. So I would do like a lot of fashion shoots for like a bunch of clothing brand, not anything like big. But then I would do like videos here and there. Like when I first met Tyler, I was working with with Boston Harbor Now. And they do like all of the ships that go to like the harbor island. So I was doing like the media for them. And like perfect example of what you're saying is like Jake, my relationship with Jake. Started off, I was doing photography for his brand, and then we ended up making a few vlogs together. And now like I manage him. I creative direct Kizzo. I try and put on like Kizzo into like other artists and stuff, and it's way more than just like a photographer. You end up just doing way more.
I think that's like the perfect way to say it. It's like way more than a photographer. How did you go from taking landscape photos of Boston and being Boston flicks to developing those other skills and kind of seeing, you know, past that, and that there's more? This is how you get your foot in the door, build the relationships, but there's a lot more on the table.
So like I was doing a landscape photo one day, and I was on a rooftop, and I'm like, wait, I'm like 17 right now. If I get caught, I'm chilling. But next year, if I get caught, I'm fucked. Like I'm gonna be like, I'll have a trespassing charge, I'll have a record, and I don't want any of that. So I had to figure out a way on how to, you know, make it work without that. So I kind of just started reaching out to a bunch of people, and coincidentally, I started working with I don't know if you guys know La Tienda. It's a sneaker store in Malden. And I kind of just walked up to the owner, Gabby, and I was like, yo, you guys don't have a YouTube channel. Let me run it. And he was like, cool, go for it. And then from there, pretty much just like, I made all of my connections starting there. And it's pretty much like gone from there.
And so were you doing multiple things? I mean, you brought in like the videos, so the YouTube stuff, but when did the management or the brand stuff or behind the scenes like business stuff come into the picture?
So that kind of just like, it just comes coincidentally, really. Like, say I can't do a shoot. I have to find somebody else that's gonna do it, and from there, like, that's pretty much just like what Masshole Media is like. If we can't do a shoot, gonna give somebody else it. So that's like it pretty much grew into like just a bigger scale of that.
And now you're offering that as a service to other people, pretty much.
Exactly, yeah, because it started around Boston. Like we were like, oh, like we can both do this, and then we were like, oh shit, like we both can't really do this if there's like 5 things going on in one night. So we got to get like a whole army of people, and then people were like, oh, you're gonna be like our next show, and we were like, shit, now I got to find people in New York. So we would go through Instagram and look up New York photographers and all that stuff, and we'd found other guys, and that's how we'd kind of like sublet it to them. But yeah, it's more just like you can't do it alone, but like it's also having the trust in like other people to get a job done. We want to keep our ideas like as foundational as possible, like between like all our guys, and like have them working towards the same thing and believing in whatever we're doing. And I feel like the one way to really hammer that is like making sure they're hungry, because if we're those people that are always just like plugging and networking them, then they get very content.
They get lazy. They
get really
you for
content.
Stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's like making sure that the people that we're around and the people that work for us aren't on a level of just being content and like, oh, I got Dre and Tyler. I have like these 5 people that like have all the connections and whatever. It's like still them. If we don't have a connection, they're screwed. Like right. That's what it would be. So we need to teach them how to figure out a way to hustle, how to get in, and whether it be through a fashion industry, through plugging artists with whatever they need, or just like looking up a phone number, then that's what we have to do.
The other side of that is too, like, you're not on the ground, like you're sending someone that in some cases you probably have never even met them in person.
Yeah, we haven't
to
met
represent you.
Yeah.
How do you go about that conversation, or just kind of bringing that up, or is it just the way you operate that like, look, you're representing me, you have to, you're not like fucking around, like you're not taking selfies backstage, like is there anything specifically that you guys like do with that?
I mean, realistically, people know that how me and Dre handle our stuff and how we stay professional, because you're around massive multi-platinum artists and celebrities that have done everything in the world and back, and they're just going around and do it one more time. That for them, it's kind of like when we ask them to go and work with Travis Scott or Drake or whatever artist it might be, I feel like they kind of like shake a little bit and they're scared, and like it's kind of like that shock factor of like, holy shit, this is happening. But like at the same time, it's like, damn, I have like a job to do and I can't be like fucking around, because it's a massive opportunity for them. So if they blow it, they blow it, and like they don't have a way back in.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that first thing that like people get into, like that first massive thing, is like make or break, because the hardest thing to do is get into whatever industry that you're trying to do. Because if you take time off from that, if you take a month off from shooting concerts and being in the music industry and knowing what's going on, it feels like a lifetime, because there's new artists that pop up every fucking day, you know? So I feel that it's definitely a make or break when, but like it should be you should know when you're going to do that, how that should be handled. You know, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Just like do your job, get out. If you want to hang out and do whatever, just make sure you stay professional.
So you get like a one strike policy with your guys. If they fuck up once, they're out.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, basically. Like, it depends what they do. Like, it has to be pretty fucking bad.
Yeah.
Like really bad.
Anything you want to touch on? Any stories?
Yeah, I had a guy.
You already know where the story's going.
I think
There's a couple. There's one in Halifax. I'm not gonna say the name though. TJ opening up on tour, and I got a call, and it was 11 o'clock East Coast because it's an hour further back, so it was at midnight. And I was in bed, and this guy goes, "Yo, I caught one of your guys selling a pass outside the venue before he came in." And I was on FaceTime with the kid, like, "Are you going to the venue?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm waiting for the guy." So he said, "Yeah, I went out and gave him the ticket and the media pass because he needed a ticket and a media pass to get in." And he was asking him, like, "Are you coming in?" He said, "No, I'm just going to, like, chill out. I'll smoke a joint and then I'll go in." And I was like, "All right, cool. Like, I don't care if you smoke a joint as long as you do your job, you know?" And my friend, who's the photographer on tour with him right now, he's like, I was standing inside the window, like, of the venue, and I literally saw this guy take cash and give a pass. And then he came into the show, like, without a bag. So I was like, "Did you really do your job?" And I
he
was
just went to the
asking-
show. He just wanted the
He
ticket.
went to the show.
That's
I don't know.
crazy.
He said he had a camera bag too, so I don't know if he ditched it into the bushes or whatever, but he got rid of the pass and sold it for money.
Did he not provide any footage for you guys then?
No.
So
No.
he obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was a see you later moment. We've had like a couple things where like one of my good friends, his name's Will. We were in Montreal. We were doing Igloo Fest, and Igloo Fest is the coldest EDM festival and like festival in the world. It's outside. It's negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit probably, and it's like Tiesto and Flume and all these guys performing. And this guy, we were allowed to rotate out on stage, and they had like these little space heaters for when they were DJing, so they could do it without gloves and in t-shirts and whatever. And they had like a little glass panel, and my guy went up in front of the glass panel in front of like 15,000 people and like sat there for like a minute recording them like back to the crowd and everything. And I was like, "Oh my god, dude!" Like, and he got reamed a new ass, but he's a good photographer and he's a good guy, so we kept him around because he knew what he did. He just didn't realize it in the moment. But
yeah, I feel like a lot of it is the attitude. Like, you have to fuck up really bad to get kicked out. Like the guy from the TJ show, like he intentionally did that. Like, he was fucking us over, like not to just like fuck us over, but he was trying to get his own benefit out of it. Mm-hmm. And like the relationship we're building with people, obviously it's supposed to go both ways. Like, we get you the connection, you give us the photos, but like that trust goes both ways. Like, touching back on what you said like way earlier, like when we hit people up, they have no clue, because they'll get a DM from like either the Masshole Media account, me, or Tyler, and if it's a Masshole Media account, they have no clue who's DMing them.
Yeah, so
they kind of just have to trust that we're actually like about what we're saying, and they really won't figure out until they get to the box office and they ask if their name is on the list.
What about for you guys personally? Like, obviously there's a reason you're here, and like at a bigger stage, and you haven't like fucked up too much like to get kicked out of venues, but like, were there any moments like on your come up and like kind of beginning stages that you're like kind of poking around where you shouldn't be backstage?
Damn, I'm trying to think.
Or just any like time where you learned from like a mistake or something that kind of didn't go how it should have.
My big mistake was I was documenting for an artist, and I'm not going to say who, and the team was really mad after, and I said, "What are you mad about? I sent you like 15 minutes of footage." And they said, "There's not enough footage. Like, we literally wanted the cameras running continuously. Like, that's the whole point of documenting. Like, we want them doing every little bit and every little thing." And like, I really didn't do that. And I was fucking around. I was like mixing it with photos and mixing it with flexing a little bit and being young at the time in the industry. But I really think I learned after that. That was really, really early. I learned after that to like ask if I'm in a green room or whatever. Like with Travis Scott, I was like, I was the only one in the venue with my camera, and the other guy was 331 Dez, who's on tour with him right now. And I was like, I asked him, I said, "Yo, do you think I can take out a camera back here and like take photos, not necessarily of Travis, but like of Don Toliver, of Sheck West, of Les Twins, Beyonce's dancers?" And And he was like, I wouldn't really do that. Like, I don't know where it can lead you, like, legally. Like, I would not even trust that. So I learned to ask and just kind of, like, see what's cool with other people. Then as you get, like, more acquainted with teams, I feel like you can have a say into, like, what happens back there. Whether you see them once a year or whether you see them once every 5 years, like, they have a certain trust level in you, and that doesn't really go away if you, like, maintain that connection.
What is the typical like team look like for an artist like in the industry right now?
There's always the manager that's either their friend or an actual like a manager.
Yeah.
There's security that are also either their friends or actual security.
Yeah.
And then obviously like all of their friends, and that's pretty much like mainly like who I've
DJ,
seen.
producer, tour manager, touring staff, lighting, production.
Who's got the most like bullshit job though? Like, I feel like there's some people that are just kind of along for the ride. Like,
Have you guys seen like Entourage? Like, who's the turtle?
yeah,
There was a lot of people with Fabio that like didn't look like they should.
No,
have
wait,
been
doesn't A Boogie have somebody like on tour with him at all times just to roll a blunt for him? Like he has a personal blunt roller.
Yeah, I think there's artists like that, which is like ridiculous. I mean, if you have that money, like cool, go for it. But like, yeah, there's professional blunt rollers. There's style. I think stylist is kind of crazy.
No, I think stylist.
I think a
know. I
stylist.
think that's a very
It depends.
valid
It depends though. I think a stylist can be kind of crazy because if you're going for a week and then like you're changing wardrobes or whatever, your week should be set out. I don't see a reason for a stylist to be there, especially for a guy. Like, what do you possibly need
weather's
done?
a big factor.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in a city, so like you could get inspired by like local clothes, like stuff like that. I think the stylist is very important, and like
Yeah, I
you'll
do
probably
too.
talk on that too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, you're in that scene a bit more.
Yeah, because like I like for me, fashion is also like as much as photography is art. Fashion is another form of just like art on somebody's body, and like I feel like all of us could agree. Like if somebody got that shit on, like you could tell they got that shit on, and whether they put it on or not, like they look fire. So that having somebody that's able to create that without having the artist, like, because the artist is already worried about tour, they're worried about like all their friends, they're worried about like getting bitches that night of or whatever. Like they don't want to think about what the fuck they're gonna wear. So
Yeah.
I feel like the stylist is really valid.
I have a friend too who he spent a long time, like he's a bit older than me, but he spent a long time working with like artists, and he actually like makes his own garments, like silk clothing. And so like kind of on the stylist route, but also like he's got a brand, and he tells me stories about like he would go backstage with Travis Scott, or like he was with who was it? It was the white guy. I forget, but regardless, he'd go backstage and like all the brands, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, they'd all bring out like all these racks of clothes, and then he'd have a suitcase, he'd open it up, and they'd always come towards his shit.
That's
because it was
crazy.
custom, like tailored to them, and like they didn't really know who he was, or maybe they did because like he had been around, or his brother or whatever. But just having that personal connection like through fashion is like super cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bouncing off of that, like when I was with Swae Lee.
Sorry, it was Black Bear. That was the
Black
other
Bear's
guy,
the brand? Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay,
he
fire.
was like with Black Bear all the time.
Fire.
Oh, Black Bear's the the musician. Damn.
Yeah.
Damn, I love Black Bear.
So when I was with Swae Lee, the same thing kind of happened. It wasn't for the show that night. It was his stylist. I don't know why.
That was his
stylist
Coachella
was there.
outfit. He was going
Yeah.
to Coachella like a week later.
Yeah, he like his stylist just came into the hotel room with a rack full of clothes, and he decided his Coachella outfit the day he was out here in Boston.
Really?
Yeah.
And that was a week before.
Yeah.
Before, yeah.
Interesting.
Weekend
Mhm.
before.
So
Yeah.
have you toured with artists before, or is
No.
it mostly just in Boston?
Yeah, it's mostly in Boston. I want to tour with somebody,
Yeah.
but haven't yet.
Yeah.
It's on the bucket
That's
list.
the one bad part about our company is that like it's not always like the whole point is like we save artists money. We like for a local artist that wants to go on a tour, if they only have fans in Boston and Tokyo, if they want to go to Tokyo, I say, oh, you don't even have to fly your manager, you don't even have to fly your DJ, your photographer, whatever. I have a guy in Tokyo, I'll send him, and you just pay his rate. You don't have to pay any food for him. You don't have to pay anything, and he'll do the work for you, and then you just fly home. We'll save you 10 grand or whatever. So I feel like with 50 show tours, with a major artist, we can save them a couple 100,000, we can save them a couple million. So that's kind of the tough part about not being able to personally go on tour, because kind of staying true to that value. But yeah, touring would be a cool experience. I would like to do it once just to do it. I don't care with who, but definitely just to get that and know what that's like.
If you could pick an artist to go on tour with, like who would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Just
Mine's
like,
Machine Gun
overall,
Kelly. Mine's Machine Gun Kelly easily.
Machine Gun Kelly.
That guy's fucking crazy.
You see that he was just on the Kelsey's podcast? Like the Kelsey brothers. They have,
Really?
They have a podcast, like the New Heights.
The Heights, the New Heights.
New Heights podcast.
MGK was on there.
Well, I guess that Machine Gun Kelly was like from like the same like neighborhood in Cleveland that they were from.
That is fucking crazy.
And then Machine Gun Kelly said that if Travis signed with the Browns, he would give him $500,000 cash, like in a duffel bag, like upon
no
arrival.
fucking way.
But no, he's a cool guy. He's got everything going on right now.
He's so cool. He's crazy, but he's so cool.
What about you, Jay?
I don't really know. I have like so many artists. I guess I want to go with like the best performer I've seen. Coda the Friend, he was out here recently, and like out of all the concerts I've been to, he was like the best performer I've ever seen.
Out of how many concerts?
This year I can't even tell you. Like between this year and last year, I want to say like over 30.
Okay.
But yeah, like I wouldn't. Definitely him. Like his whole entire team is mad nice too. Like he's a genuine person himself.
Where's he from?
I don't know. I think Chicago. Don't quote me on that though. I'm not entirely sure.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I mean, I feel like it's the guys that you wouldn't expect for like to have the best, like the most like inviting team, to be like that case. But I don't know. I would have to go with Travis Scott.
Travis Scott.
I mean, it's like
New York. He's from New York.
Okay.
He's from New York.
Got it. New York hospitality, I guess. That's crazy. But I mean, you were kind of touching on like the international point earlier, and you were telling me about like Gilbert and everything when he got sick and all that. You want to kind of walk us through that story, like on the show, and just how having that infrastructure set up of the creatives that you can just call like on a whim anywhere in the world, pretty much.
Yeah.
How you built that.
We like even before that, we had another story. Was we had Rolling Loud Portugal, which wasn't with him. That was with Jaleel actually. But we had Les Ardents in Belgium last summer. That was an 80,000 person festival watching Swae Lee and Slim Jxmmi's like Race Remembered set entirely. And I had a guy in Croatia, and I texted him and I said, "Yo, do you mind like going to film Swae Lee and Slim Jxmmi?" And their management wanted a FPV drone, so like a first person view drone footage. And he was like, "Yeah, like if we can figure out a way to get me to Belgium, like I'll stay in a hostel and like I'll figure it out and I'll get there." And he said, "Oh, the flight's $30 Canadian, so it was like $20 like US from Croatia to Belgium." And I was like, "Oh, I'll take care of that, whatever." He ended up going and basically just got picked up like off the side of the road, literally into a Sprinter van. Got walked in to the concert and put on his little VR headset that he was flying the drone with, and took care of it. And during that, he almost nailed Swae Lee with the drone.
Yo.
He came pretty close. And like the footage, like the raw footage, you hear like the engine like on the FPV drone like revving up, and it's Swae Lee like doing like a circle and like kind of falling forward, and the engine just like kicked into top notch and like went right over his head, like barely.
Oh my god,
So,
he probably like had a heart attack.
Yeah, he low-key had a heart attack when he was watching.
So
it
was probably cool. And
How
like
did
he
the
really
footage come
didn't.
out?
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was like 80,000 people like watching Race Remembered set, which is like crazy to hear like in 2023 compared to like
In another
this
country
could be
too.
us 2016 type of thing. But
They'll
yeah.
always draw a crowd though. Like they got the bangers, like that kind of timeless.
absolutely. Yeah.
How does that work with like the legality of FPV? Obviously, so that's like a different country.
I don't think it
but,
was
like,
even legal. I'm pretty sure they didn't allow it, but we just
because
kinda,
like that's dangerous. Like drones are like one thing, but a drone that has no access and no like it's just not even like it's not floating because it'll just fall with gravity.
Mhm.
Like
and also the hard part is too, it's signal.
yeah,
There's so many people there. Like it's like going on your phone at like a concert. Like a
Yeah,
festival.
yeah.
So how
and
that
the
signal's
goggles are like
crazy.
like a potato quality.
Mhm.
Like they're awful.
They've gotten better though.
Really?
Yeah.
With the DJI ones.
Yeah, the
and
DJI
stuff?
ones are really
Okay.
good.
Have you flown them before?
I
or
haven't. I've done a lot of research, so I'm like this close to buying an FPV drone.
have you done like the simulator? And
Not
stuff?
yet.
Yeah, because I've like a couple of years ago I was like thinking about getting into it, and like you get on a simulator, you're like in on your computer like
Mhm.
doing it, but No, I've always like wondered, like, because I've seen that at concerts, indoor, outdoor. Like, I think every concert now, like, pretty much is, you know, FPV drones. Like, you see them everywhere.
Yeah.
So just the legality and like the waivers that those pilots have to sign.
We didn't sign any waivers. We just kind of said go and figure it out, and let's see how it comes out.
I would hope it's not the same guy that's rolling A Boogie's blunts. That's
No, yeah,
the
definitely
drones
not.
backstage.
Nah, this guy was good. Yeah, he does content in Croatia. Like, he flies through like mountains and like does like yacht parties, and he's from Ottawa or Toronto also, so he's another Canadian guy. But the dude's he specializes in FPV. He's been doing it for like 3 years, I think, which is like ridiculous.
So that was like the first like kind of big international. You're just like completely removed from the situation. That
Yeah.
you really did.
Yeah, internationally, yeah, that was the first one. We tried to do something with TJ in China. That whole thing didn't work out because that was so last minute, and we were like, shit, like, we don't know if we like want to do anything in China. Like, we were kind of a little skeptical of it because it was like, we were hearing some stuff. I was talking to a guy from Shanghai. I was doing it's another one of my friends from Montreal, and he was saying, just be careful, like, for the people you send there, like, if they're white, because the whole initiation on those blocks in Shanghai is that for gangs, you need to kill like a white person, like, for a gang. So apparently, if you don't have like security or anything, like, you're screwed over there.
A cameraman would need
yeah.
security.
They said
That's
like
crazy.
the whole initiation for every gang in Shanghai is you need to kill a white guy, and I was like, that's ridiculous. And it has to be a white man, like, no woman, no nothing like that. And I was like, that was a guy from Shanghai saying that, so I don't know. I believe it, but like, I also don't want to believe it. So I was like, I don't know if I want to be doing anything over there.
Even just like take responsibility for it.
Yeah.
But
What is like the typical? Because like you said, like that kind of fell through. It seems like a lot of things in like music or just like last minute together thing. I mean, the Travis Scott story that you did tell last time was like very just like strung together and just
Right
like
place,
rumor
right time,
based. But like,
basically.
how does that like? How do you build like a career and like sustain like your work and continue to level up in an industry that's built off of like rumors and just like kind of right place, right time?
I mean, a lot of the music industry stuff, it's very it's short term, because for an artist especially, like, you're lucky if your name is known a month from now, you're lucky if your name is known next year. Like, for example, Ice Spice, like, her name got known this year, she's up for new artist, but 5 years down the line, let's see where she's at. Like, granted, like,
Dude, I don't know. She might
her
be.
her manager's
on
fucking
Mount
incredible.
Rushmore pretty soon.
Yeah, she's torn. She's here the second with Doja Cat. No, her manager's incredible, James
On
Roseman.
Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh, word.
Yeah, her manager's like absolutely incredible. His name's James Roseman. He's like nuts. But I feel like everything's like just so short term in music that you don't know what's happening even like 10 minutes from now. They're always like changing everything. It's just kind of like what I tell people is, they say, what happens if this happens, and what happens if this doesn't work out the way I want it to? And it's like, nothing's gonna work out the way you want it to. Whether you go to like a corporate job or whether you do photography as a job, I feel like you don't know until you're there. But I feel like the biggest thing is like learning how to be versatile and just like come by like all the differences and like figure out a way around it, because wherever you go in life, there's always gonna be stuff that's in your way, and you're gonna be around people that you don't want to work with, and that's just how it is. And you still have to like kind of put your head down and nail gun through it, you know. But
You just figure it the fuck out.
just straight up grind it out. A lot of it can be bitch work and all that stuff, and we've been through the bitch work multiple times. But yeah, it's nice when you have like me and Dre are in this buffer zone right now where it's like we've gone past the bitch work and learned enough of the versatility to like carry us through whatever comes our way. But we're also not at a point where we're stepping on labels' toes and managers and like dealing with whole legal troubles with like big time people that like are there for work and like zero room to fuck around in if you fuck anything up. Even if it's just like trying to manage how something's changing. So we're at this very content spot, and I hate saying that word, but it's a very content spot we're in because we feel comfortable with dealing with the changes, but at the same time we're not we know we're not stepping on anyone's toes, and like we're able to try out new styles and like everything too.
If you guys got like much, what would it look like for you guys to get to the point where you were stepping on labels' toes? Like, what more would you need to do to kind of be on their radar and kind of get them scared?
I feel like we would have to do more than just like concerts. It would have to be including like cover art,
any business deals straight up, like for Travis, like the whole AP, like Audemars Peugeot, that whole deal, like doing that would fuck us.
Oh
like,
yeah, of course.
Entirely,
AP's
you know?
making $40 million.
And also, it took them 4 years to do that. So like,
Yeah.
imagine like, and he has Busy as a business manager, which is like, he's fucking incredible. He's been with him for 10 years, you know. So it's like for us to step in and like basically say, oh, we'd like to do a business deal at the Audemars Peugeot. Like, how are we gonna do this? They just basically kick us to the curb and say like, what the fuck are you even trying?
It seems like for you guys, and like totally correct me if I'm wrong, but like the way to scale, at least now, is like really just like find more creatives and continue doing what you do well everywhere. Just grow to more countries, more cities, every single night, different places, right?
Exactly.
Is that kind of like the mindset right now?
Yeah, because we have realistically like the more we got, the more connections we get. Like that's just how it's gonna be. I always go by the mentality that like if you meet, like my first connection got me all my other connections. I met one person at a show or one person at a club, and I would say, cool, now I'm gonna get a connection out of this guy. That one goes to 2, those 2 go to 4, those 4 go to 8. I mean, we have 200 creatives that are working with us, and for those 200 to have that same mentality and like buy into that idea, those people probably have 100, 300, 1,000 connections that are kind of put into like our networking database, you know? And we're at a point where our 200 guys, like, since they all believe in the idea, like nobody's gatekeeping anything, which is like a super important part.
especially in music. Like everybody gatekeeps in music. Everybody.
Nobody says names. Nobody does anything.
Yeah.
And where did that come from for you guys? It's like we need to change that.
Like we really have nothing to hide. Like it's a point where like we're confident but we're not cocky. Like when we tell people like our business model, it's not like bragging in a way. It's just like what we're doing. When we say we work with Drake, we work with Travis, we work with MGK, we work with Trippy and all these artists, it's not like we're saying like, oh, we take photos with them, we do this, we do that. It's like, no, we just work with them. Like we're pushing their marketing and we're doing their content for them, and that's how they want to do the tour, and we're just there to help, you know?
You're not trying to do too much. You're providing value to
Exactly.
them, just keeping it light, simple.
Literally just providing value, and then they give us a cosign. That's about all we ask for, you know? And I think that's more important than kind of like keeping a name like private. Like it doesn't really matter, because once you have that, and if you do your job and you maintain a relationship, you're already in there. So you shouldn't have to worry about anything necessarily. It's just like the fear of putting other people on, thinking that they're gonna take your job.
And there's like the other part of it too, where like we're obviously getting a lot of people that are hungry, and they'll go and get their own connections without even having us. And like since they're a part of our like company already, they'll bring those connections to us.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like the relationship that we build with a lot of our creatives isn't just like, oh, you're gonna shoot here. Like we'll like a lot of the people in the big group chat that we have a good relationship with them. Like I'll joke around in that group chat all the time. It's more than just like business all the time.
That's huge. Being like touching back on that topic that I kind of brought up earlier about like it being the music industry being kind of last minute and like a little bit flaky almost. How do you, like, these guys are on the road, different city every night. How do you like become like remembered by them and like make a good impression on the business guys too, but also the artists?
A lot of the time too, like artists are really cool. Their job is to perform. They get off stage and like the cameras go down. Like you let them enjoy their time, and when you're backstage, it's kind of like you're one of their high school friends, because if they go out in public, they're getting mobbed and paparazzis and all that stuff, and it makes sense that they just want to chill out. But it's not necessarily the smaller artists will remember your name. The bigger artists, like artists are so fucking high after shows. Like they probably don't even know my name, and I've seen them like 10 times in my life, you know? So that's when you go to like managers and tour managers and like build a relationship with them. That's also a lot of people get mixed up thinking that the artist has all the pull, but every time an artist gets asked about something, they say, oh, just talk to my manager. So where do the priorities lie, like in business? Like it's cool as like a person that listens to this artist growing up, it's cool to like have that relationship with an artist, but like from a business perspective and what you want to do, like you have to go to like the business side and the managers and tour managers and all the production staff and like talk to them. So I would say that it's not really necessarily about the relationship with the artist, but it's more like the managers and like staying on good terms with them, because I feel like managers also manage like 5 or 6 other artists. For example, TJ's manager, his name's Clay, and he manages Armani White also. So when I first worked with him in Montreal, he set us up. Or I was working with North Ave Jacks, a Vermont artist, and I did his opening set. It was the first paid show I've ever done in my life. Got off stage, and TJ's manager was standing there. He said, "Oh, you have a camera? Like, can you come film TJ's set?" So that's how that relationship started. The manager asked me to go and film. Through that, we kind of developed the business model, and then we stayed in touch with them saying like, hey, we can plug you wherever you go. And there was a last minute trip that Armani White made to Montreal over the summer. And he went out a day early before his performance because he got a text from Billie Eilish to go perform his top song, Billie Eilish, on stage with her at a festival in Montreal. So
I think I saw a video of that.
Yeah, so Clay texted me and he goes, hey, like, big ask, like, do you have anybody in Montreal, like, at all? And we had like 5 people at like the festival, like, working for us. And I was like, yeah, like, we can figure something out, like, no problem, like, just text me whenever you need someone there. We need someone there in 30 minutes. Okay, sounds good. So we had a guy inside the festival who was working with an artist, let them know the situation. Someone else came to cover. I was on my way in an Uber, like, backed up in traffic, and we ended up getting there, and that's how that kind of worked out. So it's just like believing the idea, and like kind of in a minute 30 seconds whenever I pitch an idea to someone, it's like, what can you do for me? Okay, cool, you just got yourself another 30 seconds. Okay, that sounds incredible. It looks like we're doing all right and we can do some business. And then the last 10 seconds you get someone's phone number. In 50 seconds you're done. So it's just like what they're gonna remember you for. So for Clay, it must have been like, wow, these guys have people all over the world, and like they're just kind of like Uber for creatives. So we'll text him and see if he can like magically do this. So that was kind of like his test to see like what can these guys really fucking handle if they can like do this in 30 minutes. Yeah.
At like one of the biggest shows he's ever done.
Yeah, and that was our biggest video this year too.
He's pretty much trying to just like, I feel like a lot of people, like, especially like that are already in the industry, they don't really believe like, I need somebody in 20 minutes. So they're kind of just trying to call our bluff. But like when the person shows up in 20 minutes, they're like, oh shit, like these guys are.
And that's
serious.
A lot of the thing too. Like when we work with artists, like they want everything for free, and they're kind of like, how the fuck do you make this work? Like this just doesn't seem like and people are like, can we get a free trial? And they're like, we're just going to call you like at a random time, and we're going to see if it works out. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So we end up doing it, and a lot of the times they'll say, hey, like, we'll give you this, we'll give you that, like, as compensation, whatever. But, yeah, a lot of people call our bluff because they don't think we can do it, and we proved it multiple times on, like, massive stages in front of crowds of, like, 50,000 people. And, like, that Armani White video with Billie Eilish probably hit, like, in a week. The first week I was looking at the impressions, I think it did like 500 or 600 million, like on Instagram and TikTok only. Not even like Rolling Stone and like BET and all like the articles and stuff like that.
Have you gotten like other people from the industry, other creatives, like kind of giving you like dirty looks because you're disrupting in a way, and kind of, you know, someone that their dream could be like world tour with an artist,
world touring,
and
yeah.
like now because of what you're doing, you're helping the artist, but like you're taking that like position away from like that.
So I was gonna say like there are like photographers out there that they definitely like they're pretty offended on what we do, but at the end of the day, like if an artist really wants just one style, they're gonna go with one photographer. If they don't really care, like if they're just looking for media,
if they just want media and content, then they'll take us any day of the week.
Yeah, so like
and they'll save money.
At the end of the day, like it's really up to the artist, and like the industry's competitive, and we're trying to get that edge on everybody else. So just like everything else in life, somebody's going to lose their job just as far as the future progresses. Like even photographers, like we might lose our job to phones. Like,
and there was one story at we were filming this thing in where was it, Fall River, the 14 League.
Oh, I forgot what that was.
That was like in Fall River, and we were talking. This guy asked us about our company, and I'm not gonna say his name, but this guy asked us about our company. We're like, oh, we're kind of like Uber for creatives, and he's like, well, I've been on tours, and like I find that really offensive. He like told us that straight to our face, and that was the first time I ever heard that in person. I just like kind of sat there, and I was like, cool, dude. Like we're gonna keep doing our thing, you do your thing, and like we'll see you like at the next show. You know what I mean?
Figure it out.
Yeah, no, that was when like it really kicked in. Like holy shit, like there's not a lot of stuff like in the world like what we're doing, but also in Boston I feel like it's not like a big creative hub like New York and like LA yet.
That's key.
Yeah.
How did you guys like kind of make an impression in like a global industry in such a small city like Boston? Like your roots are here, but you're talking about doing shows in, you know, Tokyo and Belgium.
Yeah. I mean, when I first did it, I was in Montreal when I first like had the idea to make a media company. I did like 3 shows up there, and I was like, shit, if I leave Montreal, like I'm kind of fucked wherever else I go. So I came back to Boston. That's when I met Dre. So already from there, we had Canada and Boston. And I think just mutually on that, like when you get creatives from around the world, if they believe in themselves and they see their content getting pushed on our social media, like they're going to be proud of it and like look at it as a cosign no matter how many followers we have, because one day that will be a major cosign, that will be like a thing that can get someone a full-time job somewhere, you know? So I feel like that's kind of important too, because when you have 200 people around the world in each state and each continent, if they're pushing that out, that kind of brings in the whole outreach of people looking at our stuff.
It's cool too, like what you were saying earlier with like the pushback that you've received from like certain people, like for the artists, like the product that they get from working with you guys is like a different style, a different creative view every single show, and like a photographer that like wants to be there. Because like I'm sure obviously like you're a tour photographer, you're blessed to like be able to go to like all these shows, travel the world, travel the country, whatever. But like if you know I'm like an up and coming photographer in Boston, and you guys reach out to me and you're like, hey, there's this show tonight, can you get there? I'm like, hell yeah, I can get there, and I'm gonna like try like my best to like do some crazy shit and like improve with that rather than just be complacent. So,
and I feel like too, like even if an artist likes a certain style, like I feel like people can adjust to it as much as they hate doing that. And if not, if they don't feel comfortable doing that, like it's easy enough for us to find someone else, you know? So
I
it's
was gonna
like,
say on the flip side to that too, like the artists being and the management, it's not just the artists, they're all being exposed to like all these different styles, so it kind of just gives them more of a chance to be like, oh, like this is gonna be our guy. So and I feel like for me at least, that's like one of the most rewarding things within the company. Like we haven't had somebody that like immediately just becomes somebody's tour photographer, but just like being able to expose people that are younger, because we have like a few people that are like they're not even 18 yet, and they'll shoot
we've
their
had
first
to
concert.
we've had to like legally sign some stuff. Like it's like oh, like we give permission to like let this guy go. It's like signing your kid's fucking field trip in like elementary school to go to the aquarium, you know? It's like I'm like 21. I shouldn't have to do this for anyone working with me, you know?
But it's just like really nice seeing like for me, like when I was in high school, I'm like damn, damn, who was a photographer back then? Like MID Jordan, he was Tory Lane's photographer, and I would look at him and I'm like, damn, like I really want to do stuff like that. And we're able to provide a similar experience for kids that are in high school because of that. Like they're able to at least figure out if this is the industry that they want to be in or not at that young age.
And also, like, I didn't have a portfolio when I started this. That was also another part of the reason I did this, because I couldn't go anywhere to do photography and film without a portfolio. So I was like, cool, is there anyone, other art school rejects, whatever, like, I'll gladly take you in, I'll give you a portfolio, and then you can go off and do whatever you got to do, you know? But, yeah, I feel like it's pretty cool to put people, like, we're happy to put people on and, like, just learn about other people. And I think that's, like, kind of the cool aspect, because you don't know where they're going in 5 years, and it's not necessarily like we expect them to stick around, but it's cool for them to like always remember where they got their start.
Yeah,
like,
you set a good precedent of loyalty and just being like genuine and being a good
we just
guy.
teach them how to be people.
Yeah,
the camera work is whatever. Like everyone's different with that, and objectively everyone's a good photographer. It's just like your whole style and how you like manage yourself, and 90% of the game is just talking to people.
And that within itself is shifting just the culture within like all the industries that we're in, because we're pretty much breeding a lot of people that they don't want to gatekeep. They want to bring everybody else with them. and it's just really beautiful to see because it's slowly all coming together.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think that's a really good like kind of wrapping up the thoughts here.
I want to ask you, Jay. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like that your like career defining moment was the Travis show that you kind of snuck into.
Definitely.
What about Travis? What would you say like is your like coolest experience that you've had working in this industry over the last few years? Just for like a clip for the cameras.
I would say like the TJ show, the one that just happened last week. So Tyler kind of just like summed up that story really quick, but we were not supposed to get into that show. Like we really weren't supposed to get into that show. So like the heart of me and Tyler's relationship, like what I said earlier, is I have a lot of the not smaller, but like artists that are bigger in Boston. I have all those connects. And my friend that day, I'm going to retell the story. So my friend that day, he didn't know that he was going to go perform. He was at his niece's birthday party, and his DJ gets a call. And he's from TJ's manager. He's just like, yo, like we need somebody to perform because our opener just dropped out. He was in Haverhill, so I was like an hour away from MGM. He whooped it over from Haverhill to MGM in like 30 minutes. And we're sitting at this artist entrance. Like we're just all sad because at first the person told Tyler like we're going to be there at 5. And then we get there at 5 and they're like, we're not going to be there till 8. And then 8 comes around and they didn't even end up showing up. So Mosa ends up coming in with his videographer. And I had shot for Mosa a couple times. One was at the 14 League, and then the time after that was at Chase Shakur's show. And from there, I kind of just like built a nice friendship with him. I also manage a couple other rappers from out here, and they have a relationship with Mosa, so I came across him a few times. But yeah, so he comes in, he goes through security, and he looks at me. He's like, "Yo, like, come on!" Like, he just went like that to me, and I was like, "Yo, Tyler, like, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go in." And they didn't give us any credentials. Like, security didn't ask me any questions. He literally just let me walk right through. And then I came back, and I don't know what was good with the security guard, but I was like, "Yo, Ty, like, you're good." Like, Mosa said you could come in. Security guard didn't ask any questions. He was like, "All right, cool. Like, go ahead." And didn't give us a pass. We didn't have a single pass for that whole entire night.
And we figured out after the show that I was asking my guy, I was like, how come you like said 5 o'clock and then you said 8 o'clock and then you said 10 o'clock? And he said, well, like we were shopping in Back Bay. It took us a little bit. So him and TJ were out shopping and they were late to the show. So that was the whole reason that we got into with Mosa.
And then I feel like another moment would be the 14 League. That was so the 14 League, it's run by YGC, which is Marcus Smart's brand. And my friend Aaron James, he's Marcus Smart's videographer. He hit me up and he's like, "Yo, like I'm just gonna have mad media people come through." So everybody came through and did their thing, and I just like, I like it was my first time ever shooting sports, and it was on a pretty big platform because they're all professional ballers. So I feel like for me personally, that was definitely career defining because I was able to adjust in an environment that I particularly like wasn't a part of.
He's another guy that definitely want to have him come through sometime.
Aaron James? Hell yeah.
He's always been like such a good. I always see him around. He's always just like so nice and like.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. I think
he is too.
I know he's got a kid. I know he's older. He's like. I feel like I knew like, is he in his 30s?
Yeah, he's in his 30s.
Yeah. But most people think he's like 25.
He's like a 25-year-old guy. Like yeah. He's fucking.
No, but he's like one of the nicest guys. Like
he's so nice.
He's such a genuine
deserves
person.
like everything that he's gotten, like the opportunities that he's gotten in the past year or two. Like totally deserving of it. So.
And he also got screwed because Marcus got traded too.
Yeah, so. But he's still
he didn't get screwed. He's doing
not
his
screwed,
thing now.
not screwed, but like that was his main like thing of work.
He's still at the Celtics game, so I saw him there the other night. So
well, I think he works with like Slam now and like Inked NBA and like a bunch of like, media groups like that. I know he's been having collabs like with Slam.
He does like a lot of wedding stuff too.
Instagram collabs with Slam, which is ridiculous. Like I don't see.
Dude, I don't know. I have a couple friends because I did a lot in the sports scene.
Yeah.
And I have a couple friends that don't think too highly of Slam. So
really,
yeah, I don't know. Slam, by the way, Slam is broke. They're actually
I know they are, but that was also like wasn't it mainly like for All American type of stuff? Like that's where it got its name, like Slam magazine for like NBA drafts and like going into college.
Like that's what.
Like going into college, like
you're right.
Commitments and all that stuff. That's where I recognize.
That was like the OG, then the magazine,
Yeah, because I never knew of it as NBA. I never.
I think the Slam was like it was always Slam magazine, right?
Yeah, I knew like SI and stuff like that, but I never knew Slam besides like high school.
So they're broke. They won't like pay like anyone to do like shoots for them. Yeah. And then they also like I don't know. I don't want to get into it, but like they're just the way they use creators is not the most genuine way. I would feel like,
really.
And they kind of they're just I don't know, but. Aaron James, great guy.
Great fucking guy.
Crushing it still. So, yeah, we'll definitely have him on. Thank you guys for coming on, telling your stories. I'm sure we'll see you guys around.
Absolutely.
Maybe have three-peat with Tyler.
We can maybe do a three-peat.
And we'll have Dre back too, of course. But, yeah, best of luck with everything, and thanks for coming through.
Appreciate you guys. Seriously.
I appreciate you guys, too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.